Listen.
Hello and welcome to NVC, IGN's Nintendo podcast. I am your host, Casey DeFreitas, and I am joined here today by Sam Claiborne.
Hey, everybody.
He's back from Japan.
Yeah, I was going to actually do the little intro with the song. I was going to say, hey, listen, then go, da-na-na-na, but I guess we blew past that.
Yep.
Well, we've
We
been
had the
doing
robot
that.
do it.
We've been doing that without you.
We have been. Tom resurrected the sound effect. And Tom Marks, who
Hello.
resurrected the sound effect. And Brendan Graver.
Hi, this place looks really cool.
Yeah, we're in a new room. Guys, we're not in a closet anymore.
Yay.
We're joined by our best friend, Sonic. And
And Witcher Medallion, everyone loves that guy.
An early Nintendo mascot.
Podcast listeners are waiting for Sonic the Hedgehog to chime in right now.
I would do a Sonic impression, but I can't, so I'm not going to try.
Yes, you can. You got this. Got to go fast.
I can start
Sonic
singing
says
City
that's
Escape.
no good.
So today we're going to talk about another new Switch model, but not entirely new, just an upgrade, and the Marvel review discussion, because Tom Marks reviewed Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3: The Black Order.
I did.
And we are delaying the show by 1 hour so we can do that. So
Sorry.
Yay.
please forgive us.
Oh, because of the embargo?
Yeah, the embargo is
embargo.
4 p.m. on Thursday, so we just pushed the show back a little bit so that we could just talk about it.
Yep.
So Tom's boss, who's not my boss, insists that I use the term embargo because he thinks it's really funny. But for some reason, he doesn't make Tom do it,
Nah.
even though he
Privilege.
can.
Preferential treatment.
I'm just doing it.
I don't think he forces anybody to do that.
Oh.
I think
Oh, he does.
He does. Can
What, really?
confirm.
Mid-conversation, don't you mean embargo?
I never noticed that before.
Have you ever
love
seen
this.
him reply to multiple people outside of IGN
Oh,
with the
yeah.
word embargo?
so this is the incredible thing, because Dan will use embargo instead of embargo in every instance, and no one will ever say anything. There has never been an instant of a developer
Everyone's
or PR
too afraid
person.
to say
Yeah,
anything.
no developer PR person has ever responded like,
It's such a
"What,
good troll."
Embargo? What are you talking? Like, no one's ever done that. I love it.
They just know.
They just. I don't know. I just
No, he has
who
that
knows
much
what it is?
authority.
When
Maybe
I
think
have
it's
that
an
much authority, I'm going to use
autocorrect.
cat puns in all my emails.
That's
This is
like how
perfect.
people
Thanks so
started.
much.
You start doing that.
Like they started saying swag way more than they should for the word swag. For like when you get swag at a convention, it's just not that word. But like you hear it 50% of the time. That's what Dan's trying to do with embargo and embargo.
I guess, yeah.
That is a new word for embargo. Sam, tell us about your time in Japan.
We're gonna do this.
Yeah.
All right. So I will tell you about some Nintendo things about Japan. I went to Kyoto, which is where Nintendo's based now, and you can go to their corporate headquarters. And I'm going to give Casey photos to put on her article for this show. And by going to headquarters, I mean you can get up to like a guard booth, and then they'll very politely get you out of there.
Shoot you away.
But it's really cool. I didn't know this. So Nintendo has a giant campus, like huge. It's 2 city blocks. And on both city block, they have a giant, 10-story, huge building, and and it actually says Nintendo Development on the gates, stuff like that. So it's very clear. They're actually making Breath of the Wild 2 in this building. How cool is that? You're like a couple 100 meters away from where
Just
that's
need some
happening.
X-ray specs, and you're good to go.
And I didn't go at 7 a.m. or whatever, but I presume that the helicopters with the Shigeru Miyamoto come in then, right?
Multiple?
Yeah.
He takes different ones there
He's got
and
a
back.
fleet.
He's got his Kirby stuff in the back.
How many bodyguards does he have when he goes to E3?
Well, at E3, I guess we shouldn't really talk about Nintendo's security practices, but there's always a cadre
Yeah.
Yeah.
with them, and then they ride around in these big black cars.
He is secure.
Mm-hmm.
we
Yeah,
can
for sure.
put it that way.
So yeah, that was really fun. You can walk up and you can actually look on Google now. It used to be harder to do this and find the Kyoto headquarters, but 2 spots appear when you do that. And the other spot is the old Nintendo playing card company, which Casey's been to. And I went there also. It's in a beautiful older part. This is in their big office is in an ugly industrial park area. It's there's garages and recycling centers actually nearby and stuff like that. But the old playing card company is an old building, and it's between a big river and then also a very small little canal that's tree lined and gorgeous. And there's a great craft brewery right there. And you can walk up and see it. There's an old plaque. It says Nintendo Playing Card Company. So cool. And then it's actually a really long building, and I think it was used to actually do some manufacturing. It's really neat.
That little building, when I was staying in Kyoto, we would pass to go get super cheap bento boxes on the other side of the river for $1.50, and a huge thing of food. It was my favorite thing.
Yeah, and it's not too far from the, I guess, very, very old now Gion district, which is the geisha district.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's like a big tourist area, but there's nobody ever by the Nintendo area. It's like very quiet and neighborhoody. It's such a cool thing. So that was really fun. And then I also went to the Pokemon Center, which I know you've been to a lot.
Yeah.
Brought back some
Thank
stuff
you.
from there. Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, it's like they don't play the song when you heal your Pokemon there. Ding,
Really
ding, ding,
Missed
ding.
opportunity.
But every employee there has a Pokemon.
That is like their Pokemon.
Yeah, like a plush
Their partner
Pokemon. And I didn't catch on to that for a while. So like my wife was on like a music tour there, and I was just following her around. But we were in there, and she was kept on asking about certain products and like looking around and picking stuff off the wall. And when she picked up like a Ditto, the woman employee next to her, who they don't speak English. My wife speaks a little bit of Japanese. But they would they would be like, they would hold up the character that you were like near and be like, oh, like this is my favorite. And it's like, what's going on? Did she just pick up that toy and start pointing at it? But no, it was on her belt the whole time. 'Cause
Wow.
that's like they carry around their own
We
Pokemon.
adopt this practice at IGN. Just
Isn't that
everyone
great?
has a
Just-
little
Everyone
partner
has a
Pokemon.
partner Pokemon. Yeah.
The Pokemon Company, they get like partner Pokemon as well in the form of their business cards. They all get like a Pokemon for their business card, and they have
I'm just
you just
gonna
have to
draw one of my
hope that
business
it's not
cards now.
taken. Your favorite isn't taken. When
Oh, you mean it
start.
has to be?
It has to be
an
when it's not
untaken?
taken by another employee.
Okay.
So that's
Do you think
the key to keep more
anybody's taken
Pokemon.
Lampwick?
Probably not.
so that's
Wait,
why-
probably hasn't been taken.
That's why they make new Pokemon
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
game is because
We
they
need
need
to
to
hire more
hire
people.
Yeah.
We just hired 30 people. Make more Pokemon now. Now let's
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly why.
That's probably why like Meltan was randomly added to Pokemon
know.
Go.
It's like,
Is they
we
were
just
like,
got
we
one
gotta
more extra
hire, we
employee.
gotta
I
make
just like
some.
ice cream. Can I have an ice cream Pokemon, please?
I will say I went to a couple arcades and stuff too, but like video game culture is like it is much more present in Japan than it is here. There would be like there's ads for Monster Hunter like
Everywhere.
like up on stuff, and you were just there for something. I can't
I was there
remember what.
last year for Pokemon and the year before that for Monster Hunter.
Yeah, and like there's stuff for Monster Hunter everywhere, and like you watch TV, and there'll be like an ad for Final Fantasy like on TV, which maybe you'd see that on like a kids station here when there's a really big game like 15 out, but there is for like stuff in 14.
Right now they have Final Fantasy 14 promo codes to get discounts on Papa John's pizza.
Yeah,
There's
that's crazy.
there was Shadowbringer, the Shadowbringer expansion like billboards in Times Square, I think too in
Yeah,
New
I
York.
saw
So that
pictures.
that would
that's
be an
huge.
equivalent.
But that is, to your point, that's
That's crazy.
amazing. Like that's
Yeah.
crazy that's happening, and I guess it's just normal in Japan stuff like
And then I talked about this very briefly, but you can listen to GameScoop this week where I talked about it extensively. But I went to a Super Potato, and I went to a bunch of game places, but that place is like a library of old Nintendo products and games. You can see much old stuff. And they had strategy guides, and those are really, really cool. Like old strategy guides, Zelda and Mario, like that.
Did you
Cool.
get any?
No, but I took a bunch of pictures.
Okay.
I can show you.
Was
but
that
like,
allowed?
Oh, it's a store. So it's like, it's a museum where you can buy everything, right? But yeah, the pictures.
I went to, Nanako Broadway, I think is what it's called. I can't remember.
like, stop taking pictures.
No, yeah, they're like no pictures.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, they wouldn't do that here. But like there were like knockoff Zelda guides, and then the real ones and like the knockoff ones from Japan like have their own like elaborate manga art like through the whole thing, but like totally off model.
That's really cool.
Like Link just looks terrible, or like Link's a woman.
What?
It's,
Like,
it's
they just
great.
were
Yeah,
wrong.
there's a lot of assumptions made.
Whoops.
It's great. I thought
Just like my Breath of the Wild guide.
yeah.
The exact same thing.
Wasn't Samus portrayed as a guy in
I mean, I think in the U.S. manual even it's like totally obscured poorly that Samus is a woman because it was a reveal at the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
If there were spoilers back then, people probably would have been upset by that. If
Oh
we
yeah,
talked about it.
absolutely. I mean, I was upset when Sheik was revealed to be Zelda to me. I didn't
How'd that go down?
Spoilers.
My friend was just talking about it as if I knew, and I was like, "What?" I hadn't.
Like
beaten
you
it
were
yet.
mid game.
Yeah, I was like mid game. I had
You're
like just finished the
You're like,
course.
gosh,
level.
who is that scary ninja that keeps showing up? I just wonder who that is. And your friend's like, you mean Zelda? And you're
Yeah,
like, what?
I think it was something like, "Oh, I think Sheik's really cool," and I was referring to Sheik as a he. It's like, "Oh, she Zelda?" I was like, "What?"
Wow.
No. Spoiler alert. Sorry.
That's like a game where
You
you
know
like
that.
when that game came out. Damon always talks about this for Mario 64, but like, or maybe it was Resident Evil 2. But yeah, you played that the entire fall. Like when that came out, I just remember playing it for months and months and months and months.
Oh, yeah.
Your friend is a total jerk because like you got to give people leeway. But now I can probably beat Ocarina of Time in like a weekend.
Oh yeah.
What took so
absolutely.
long? What were we
I
doing?
don't know.
School.
We were
They just beat
kids.
the
Homework.
Ocarina of Time.
This is totally homework.
The Ocarina of Time any percent speedrun world record was just beaten. It's the first time it's ever been completed in under 17 minutes.
Yeah,
What?
that's
Yeah,
because
that happened like a week
don't
ago.
people just go straight from Goma to Ganon?
Yeah, they do a glitch that makes the door out of Goma's lair just put you in the final Ganon fight.
I watched, my friend speedruns that sometimes, and he's just like, walk left, walk right, backflip into the Ganon's castle. I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah, it's really funny.
I love when we do interviews with speedrunners and they like kind of break that down, like what's happening, because like if you do slow it down, you can actually see there's a seam and they know the positioning and everything. But like sometimes it's not fun to watch speedruns because it just looks like a bunch of like things just happened. They're just like, okay,
Well, that's why
you're at the end of the game. Sure.
That's why things like Summer Games done quick, besides just being for such a good cause, are so cool because you have those speedrunners saying, okay, we're going to just take this a little bit slower and not worry about it as much, but we're going to explain everything, which is so cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk.
So many tangents. Sorry.
I know.
Casey.
No, it's totally fine. It's only 10 minutes of tangents. We're fine. We're going to talk about the improved Switch model announcement. So last week we talked about the Switch Lite, or the Light Switch. It's the Switch Lite. I just want to call it the
I
Light
love
Switch.
Light Switch.
So
I didn't put
bad.
that
The
together
new
yet.
Switch U.
New Nintendo Switch Lite U
2D.
Neon.
2D XL.
I was so like bummed to be out of the office when that happened because it was a big day, right?
I
But
bet-
now we're
I-
reliving it all over again.
I mentioned you last week. I was like, yeah, I like woke up at 8 a.m. and there was a bunch of Slack messages, some from Sam at 5 o'clock in the morning. I was like, what are you doing? You're on vacation.
I was like on a train at midnight and I was like, talking to the UK team because they were up and doing this. And for some reason, our team in Maine, our main team.
Team Seth Macy
Seth
alone
Macy.
in Maine.
Yeah. He was up early.
Yeah.
So we mentioned this last week because Nintendo had put in some patents with the FCC. And basically, they're improving a processor within the Nintendo Switch, which in turn will increase the battery life. So the new version will offer 4.5 to 9 hours of battery life instead of 2.5 to 6.5 offered by the current version.
Which is huge.
Yeah, it's a lot. And from what I understand, the battery itself is not being improved. It's just the processor. And the processor is making it so that it uses less energy.
Right. There's and just to be 100% clear, this was not announced last week. This is another version of the Switch, but you will only be able to get this one going forward.
Yeah, so this is and that's the key here, right? Is this isn't going to be some like thing they sell
It's
along
not a
with
big
the Switch.
overhaul.
It'll look just like this.
Yeah.
It's just when you buy a Switch from the moment these start going on the shelves, you're just going to have a better Switch than if you bought it in the last 2 years.
I just made a table of the
Thanks
battery
for beta
life
testing the Switch.
for all the old
Oh, nice.
systems, and I was gonna read some of those, but it's live on the site, and so I have to like pull it up here now. But yeah, like do you know how much the Switch was before? I think it was 2.5 to 6.5 hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now it's 4.5 to 9.
Yes.
Yep.
Like Breath of the Wild was like 4 hours.
And the Switch
Yeah.
Lite is supposed to be only like a half hour more. It's like
A half
just
to 1 hour
three to 7 or something like
I
that.
have my table here.
Okay.
Ask me any system's battery life.
Switch Lite.
Switch Lite. That was 3 to 7 hours.
Game Gear.
That was announced last week. Game Gear. Let's move on from that. I requested that. That's coming soon.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah. I have Game Boy
What was,
and Game
what
Boy
was the
Color.
original Game Boy?
Game Boy, it says 15 hours. I think it's more like 15 years.
Yeah.
Because my Game Boy absolutely turns on, and I haven't put batteries in it since I moved from Arizona, which was 11 years ago.
The Game Boy had the privilege of not.
This is playtime. I just want to making a
Well,
joke.
it didn't drain battery unless you were using it.
Yeah.
I mean, this was an issue. I had a huge problem with that with the PSP because I just wouldn't touch it for a week and then it would just be dead.
Well, Nintendo really competitively entered the market, saying like they really wanted battery life to be a focus of the Game Boy, and like they had Game & Watch out, which was like a tiny watch battery, and things would last forever on that. And like they're really good at making that possible. They could have done a color system, they could have done backlight, but they're like, no, we want to make it so these batteries last forever. And then Game Gear came along and just like, oh, but we have color and a backlight, and you took 6 batteries in that thing, and like I would estimate it would be 3 to 5 hours.
Wow.
But it's not rechargeable. That's like your batteries are gone after that.
But this update is really, I'm excited that it's happening. It is also sort of frustrating to me, especially a week after we find out that the Switch Lite has a marginally better battery, and now suddenly it has a worse battery. Like it
is funny.
It just and it's not like an insignificant amount. It's an hour and a half. Better
so
now?
4.5 to 9 new Switch model versus 3 to 7.
Yeah, it's basically an hour and a half to 2 hours better battery life in the old Switch than the Switch Lite.
And it's It's unclear if there's a new battery, but we know there's a new processor.
Yeah. So this is the thing: is that it's likely just a processor change. We speculated last week that there was also the SEC filing said they're also making a change to NAND memory, and we thought that might mean a bigger internal storage, but that doesn't seem to be the case. All they said is changing is the battery life. And Pear brought something up also. He mentioned that I think is a really good point, and we heard this after the FCC filing too, which is there has been like a pretty fundamental flaw in the CPU of the Switch that has allowed people to get kernel access and essentially hack the Switch through the CPU because of this issue. And it likely, and we don't have like anything to confirm this, but likely this CPU update is probably not really about improving the battery life. It's probably about fixing that CPU flaw, and then they managed to or decided to also improve the battery along with that.
What effect would fixing the CPU flaw have?
Well, people wouldn't be able to get like root access to the CPU in the system anymore. They wouldn't be able to like hack into it.
Do you think this could have any effect on displaying games in a less stuttery way or anything like that?
I don't think that is the intent here. No, I think that the fact, especially that they're positioning this as a battery life increase, not a CPU upgrade like we thought it might be, is that that's what this is going to do. It's not going to improve performance. It's going to fix a hack, and it's going to improve battery life as a kind of like a side thing.
It sells better than saying, "Hey, we fixed a bug in our CPU. Buy more now."
Right. And again, this is just me speculating. I don't have like, but it seems
these are cell phone parts, right?
I'm not sure.
It wasn't Switch.
I know that the GPU or whatever is like a special thing, an NVIDIA like Tegra card, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think it's a unique one for the system.
So that would mean that like the production just has to switch over to this new one, and they just keep it that way.
Yeah, it's just really interesting. Honestly, after last week, I was like, I'm definitely buying a Switch Lite. Like I was very certain of that. Mm-hmm. Now I might just get a Switch, because the thing I was thinking about, like, because I want a second one. I explained this last week, but I want a second one to be able to play things like Animal Crossing with 2 different islands, with my girlfriend and that sort of stuff. So I want a second one either way. I'm not in a rush to get one. And now I'm looking at it like, okay, well, the normal Switch just has significantly better battery life than the Lite, and a pair of Joy-Con would be $80. So essentially, if I'm buying a $220 Switch instead of a $200 Lite, and then I also get an $80 pair of Joy-Con at the same time, that's just sort of a better deal in my mind.
How nice would it be to be able to
Switch?
Huh?
$220 Switch?
Well, yeah, because if a Switch is $300 and you also get an $80 pair of Joy-Con with it, then it's $220 really plus a pair of Joy-Con compared to the Switch Lite. And the Switch Lite comes with its own controllers, but you can't take them off. You can't use them with another Switch. So to someone like me who already has a Switch, just getting a second Switch is actually, now that it's funny to me that the battery life changing this drastically has actually changed my opinion on the Switch Lite pretty drastically as well.
If you suspect that security flaw is an important issue, then Nintendo would probably be in their best interest to offer a trade-in program, because they don't want those out there, right? Mm-hmm.
They just gave away a whole plane full to every person.
But it'd be nice
if
you could grab that center component of just the Switch and like actually get a discounted upgrade, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't think that'll happen.
It's very interesting, though. And honestly, at the end of the day, this isn't a bad thing, right? It's just good. The Switch is better now going forward. Great. That's fine. It's just one of those things, along with stuff like another hot topic right now that's been brought up and we don't have time to discuss, is the fact that people continue to have Joy-Con drifting problems.
I actually did want to talk about that. It's like if they're upgrading the Switch, are they going to fix the Joy-Con?
Nah.
That has been a hot topic this week, especially where people have been going around asking others in their office if they've been having Joy-Con issues, especially drift Joy-Cons.
Yeah. And I've had
drifting issues, and I still have an issue with my left Joy-Con not connecting to the Switch and just disconnecting at times. It just decides to not work and I have to restart it.
It's once again, this is just a good improvement for the battery life of the Switch going forward, but it does, with all these little sort of like tiny issues that have been cropping up over the last 2 years, it is a little frustrating when you went in early, and I don't regret buying the Switch by any means. I love that system, but it is a little frustrating when these problems are just like, either still around or slowly getting fixed. And you're like, man, why? Like looking forward, I'm like, why would I buy any system on launch ever? Because apparently all they do is get better later.
Yeah.
Just like free-to-play games with always online.
Yeah.
There's a key word in there though. It's free.
Yeah.
Or the what do they call them now? Games as a service games.
Yeah.
Your Sea of Thieves, your Fallouts online.
Those are always better a year
Fortnites,
later.
your Dauntlesses.
Or gone.
As they say, thanks for beta testing.
Oh no. All right. Well, hey, you know what else is out this week that is not free to play and has not been beta tested? I don't know. Maybe it has. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3: The Black Order.
Yes.
Which Tom reviewed.
I did.
I'm working on the wiki.
Huh?
Thanks for beta testing it, Tom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, that was the beta test.
No.
Right? No. I'm
They
kidding.
tested this game.
It's QA testing.
Yes, exactly.
So, this is why this is coming out an hour later. So
Yes.
now we can talk about it
Hooray.
entirely candidly. Mostly entirely candidly.
Yeah, we're
Up
still not.
to
We're still not going to
chapter
go.
7.
Yeah, we're still not going to go into spoilers or anything. Don't worry about that. The story though is, I really enjoy the story. It's a very comic booky
fun.
story, but yeah, it's really fun. But also, Thanos is after the Infinity Stones. You got to stop him. I think you
It's
can
like a
see where a
parallel
lot of that's
story
going.
about that.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
it really is. It kind of is going. You'll see a lot of scenes that you've already seen in comic books and in movies
Really?
and shows, but just interpreted it slightly differently.
But I'm so happy the X-Men characters and mutants are in this
Deadpool.
game.
Yeah,
Like,
X-Men is in it,
The Marvel Universe has really, really lacked those characters, and I feel it every time.
and X-Men is going to get more DLC too. I think there's an expansion pass that's going to have 3 expansion sets, and you can't buy them individually. You have to like buy the expansion pass and get all 3 over the next. I think it's like year and a half or something like that.
Wow.
And the first one, they haven't put out times. I think it was like fall, and then 2019, and then 2020 were the only dates listed, if I'm remembering correctly.
Can you talk
And that'll
about
be-
the mutants, or is that a spoiler?
No. There's a whole level where you're like a kind of the game's broken into chapters. And each chapter is sort of like a different flavor of the Marvel universe. So one is on the Raft prison, and you're fighting a bunch of Spider-Man villains. And then another one is at Avengers Tower, and like Ultron is attacking. There's one at Xavier Institute, and it's kind of all X-Men flavored, and the enemies are Sentinels. It's really, really fun. And it's really great to see. And I mentioned this in my review, which you can check out the full review on IGN.com or youtube.com/IGN. But it's really funny and fun to see a very cartoon Wolverine in yellow spandex standing next to a Rocket Raccoon that is basically doing it's voiced by Nolan North, doing basically his best Bradley Cooper impression from the MCU version of Rocket Raccoon. And then you have a very like Sam Jackson, Nick Fury, Star-Lord does like dance moves as he shoots. So those are all very MCU inspired. But then also Spider-Man is voiced by Yuri Lowenthal, who is the voice of Spider-Man in the PS4 game. So he's basically just the same Peter Parker Spider-Man from there. And then other characters like the voice of Miles Morales is the voice of Miles Morales from the 2017 Spider-Man TV show, cartoon show. So there's like a lot of voices from all these different sources, and they sort of like pick and choose all these characters from different parts of Marvel, and it works really, really well. It's just a fun story.
Can you play as Gambit?
No, Gambit's not in it.
Is he DLC?
He might be DLC.
Why is that always the question?
Because Gambit
It's not
rules.
the question.
No. I just watched a segment with like Max and Brian, and they asked about that specifically.
Yeah, somebody else asked me about Gambit also.
Gambit might be a joke in the office.
No.
I think it
It's
has to be a joke.
Gambit.
Cool.
Gambit is great. and
Gambit
here's
was
the other
cool
thing.
for like 1 year in
No,
1994.
I remember Gambit in that old. It was that old X-Men
Exactly.
show,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
X-Men
yeah.
Evolution.
No, Gambit was big in the X-Men cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just the
huge.
Uncanny X-Men, I think.
So Gambit has also been,
what was
from
it
my perspective, Gambit has always been like pretty prominent in X-Men games too. He's always had a really fun moveset.
He has projectiles.
Right, because he's got the throwing cards, but then he's also got the staff, and he's always been he's been in SNES games. He's been in a lot of X-Men games, so it was kind of sad to not see him here. But you have other characters like
What do you got? You got Storm?
I think there's Storm. X-Men are Storm,
so many
Wolverine,
characters.
Nightcrawler, and Psylocke. I think are the playable X-Men.
Oh, interesting. Not Cyclops.
No, Cyclops is in the game. He's just not playable.
I thought that was a weird choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, but it's not a problem to
What
me.
about Magneto?
Magneto is in it, but he's kind of like special, so I won't spoil that for people.
Cool.
What about the Blob?
Wait, is this just gonna be me listing
Yes,
X-Men?
yeah,
This
yes,
is
it
What
is.
about Rogue?
You guys.
Rogue was like, oh, what about Kitty?
Yeah, what
I'm
about
done.
Jubilee?
I'm out. I wash my hands of this.
Shadow Cat was Kitty Pryde, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I guess I haven't said this yet. I really enjoyed the game.
What's the worst hero in it?
Like functionally, or
Just everything. Just everything's just wrong with this hero.
I don't know. There's a character that the most obscure hero in the lineup is one called Elsa Bloodstone, who is a kind of monster hunter character from, I think she was introduced in the comics in 2001. She's not a bad character to
has
play as.
two
She's
guns.
just she got 4 guns actually.
Oh.
She got 2 handguns and 2 rifles.
Does she have 4 arms?
No.
She just Bayonetta.
She's not bad. She's just like very like putting her next to Iron Man and Spider-Man.
Who's the
You're
worst?
just like what?
You gotta pick one. You're a critic.
I don't know. I didn't
Be a critic.
I didn't like Drax very much.
All right,
I
Drax
was
fans
thinking of him too. I
at
didn't think he
Tom
was-
Marks on Twitter. Drax
Thanks
fans.
for setting up that trap there, Sam.
I like
We
his,
stand
I like his
Drax
voice
to
lines. I
attack
didn't
you.
like playing as him.
Yeah, and he is the comic book Drax instead of the MCU Drax, which is significantly different character. But yeah, his moves are just kind of clunky. I didn't use him much after this.
Who's your favorite character?
My favorite was probably Black Panther.
All right, Drax fans, go after.
Either Black Panther or the Wasp. Those 2 were my favorites to use, definitely. Yeah.
Is Thor in it?
Thor is in it. There's this really funny point in the beginning of the game. You start out just being able to play as the Guardians, and then at the beginning-ish of the second chapter, it's like pretty early in, they're just like, all right, here's 10 more characters. Like, it's just like a bunch
Yeah.
of stuff.
It's like you
And
run
then-
into Spider-Man, then
Yeah.
it's like everyone is here.
Yeah, and then they slowly unlock after that, but they kick you off real good with just like, here's a bunch of dudes, just have fun, play as who you want.
And you were saying you like Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, I like playing as Spider-Man and Storm so
Yeah.
far. I also liked Gamora as well.
Yeah, Gamora was pretty fun too. Any of the people that like attack really fast were really, really
I know this is back at E3, but I like playing as Deadpool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you like fail in this game? Or
Yeah, so this is the thing,
Absolutely.
is it's a team ninja, right? So it's like it's not easy. It's challenging. And on the friendly difficulty, there's 2 difficulties to start, and then you unlock a third one from beating the game. But there's friendly and mighty. And on friendly, it's a little bit more hack and slashy. It is a very button mashy game. Probably one of my biggest complaints with it is that you have 4 abilities per character and then just a light attack button and a heavy attack button, and that's pretty much it. There are no combos, right? So a lot of the interesting parts of the combat instead comes from this stagger mechanic where all the bigger enemies and the bosses have a stagger bar, and you have to knock down that stagger bar and then hit them with a synergy attack, and that stuns them for a little bit, and then you can deal way more damage while they're stunned. So that keeps things really, really interesting. On friendly mode, you can hack and slash a lot and kind of just get through stuff. Although it does get harder towards the end of the game. On Mighty, it's like you actually have to play smart. Like this is,
You have to pay attention.
it's not impossible. It's not crazy difficult, but you can't just spam light attack the whole way through and win. Like you really do have to use the mechanics well, use synergies well, kind of time your ability usage, make sure you're watching your health. It's not a cakewalk.
I was finding combos within my moves to like string together. Like for example, Spider-Man has the ability to, I think it's called bind, where you can bind some enemies
Right.
and immobilize them for a little bit. And sometimes if you're getting overwhelmed, it's smart to immobilize some of them and then focus them down or focus others down while they are incapacitated.
Yeah.
And you can also combo some moves together so you can like not like actually stun, but you can, you know, interrupt an opponent and then get off a really strong attack that is somewhat more difficult to connect if they're moving around sporadically. And there is a giant skill tree, which I did not expect
Yo.
at all. And this is within the laboratory, so it's called the Alliance
Enhancement System.
Enhancement System, and this is a tree. I know Duggan, our coworker James Duggan, compared it to the Path of Exile skill tree.
Oh,
It's
no.
not that big,
Okay.
but it is.
It's enormous.
Very big.
I
Wow.
counted it up. There's like over 250 different nodes.
So bigger
that you
than
can
Smash
unlock.
Ultimate's skill tree.
Yes,
So story mode.
Yeah.
definitely.
No, it's
Definitely.
really, really big. And the interesting thing as well is that not every character gets an individual skill tree. This skill tree affects everyone.
Yeah.
So I'm right now I'm trying to figure out the best path to go, and I'm hoping that there is an attack speed critical chance tree to follow because I think that might be the best for everyone.
There's not.
There's not? All right. Well,
There is one skill that is a special skill that gives all your light attacks like a 10% chance to crit, but you have to unlock, I think it's like 40 other skills around it to do. It's going to take a long time to unlock.
Pro tip.
And this is the thing is like the upgrades in this game are my least favorite part about it.
Really?
And yes,
because they don't do much.
the problem with this, and this is my biggest criticism, because I did really enjoy the game and I think you'll really have fun just like because it's so marvelly and because of how many characters there are and excuse me, the boss fights are fun. But there's a fair amount to do with like trials, these optional trials in the end game, but the upgrade system is just sort of dull. There's a lot to do. You can upgrade abilities, you can do this alliance enhancement thing, you can equip ISO 8 crystals that are basically just like equipment that improve individual stats for characters.
Everybody knows what ISO 8 crystals are.
How weird is that name? It's like, why?
I've never heard of that before.
I think it's new for this,
Yeah.
or I think it might have been used in like the mobile game or something. I'm not entirely sure.
Unobtainium.
Yeah, basically. But the thing that's annoying about all of these upgrades is that they're very invisible. They're like just for the large part, and there are some that are interesting mixed in here, but for the large part, all of these upgrades are just like 50 extra strength stat or 2% more durability stat. And it's just all of these completely transparent stat boosts that when you're actually
a lot like the Borderlands little challenge perks you can get, where it's like get 5% for like reload speed or
Yeah.
0.5% for run speed. It's like these really incremental upgrades that really don't look like a lot at first.
Right. But the difference is that Borderlands also has things mixed in that are like if you get a headshot, you get 2% increase
Yeah, like
attack
their
speed,
actual
and that will
skills.
stack and stack and
Right.
stack. And suddenly that changes the way that you're playing the game. There are very few skills in Ultimate Alliance 3 that changed the way I played the game. Pretty much once you hit level 20 with a character, you've unlocked all 4 of their abilities, and that character won't functionally change ever after that. They'll just get stronger. They'll just get higher numbers, which is like fine, it works okay, and there's tons in there for min-maxers who want to play this on the highest difficulty and really push it to the limits, but just for playing the game, it's just sort of uninteresting progression. And
Is there
it's a bummer.
any co-op?
Oh yeah, there's up to 4 player
I
co-op.
remember that being announced vaguely, but I didn't keep up because it was so.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the way the game is meant to be
Yeah,
played
I
too.
mean, I had a lot of fun. So there's a video up of the Ultron boss fight, and Tom and I played that together. And I had a lot of fun with that. Way more fun than when I'm doing it by myself.
And I actually really enjoyed playing alone. Like because they have this thing called the heroic camera where you
Oh,
can
yeah, that's right.
You can drop down the camera when you're playing alone to like more of a behind the back third person action game feel. And I really love that.
It like renders okay. at
Oh
the
yeah,
level.
yeah. The only time that I ever saw any slowdowns and I think it's a pretty looking game. It's got rough edges, but it's a Switch game. Kind of all Switch games have rough edges.
Dude, you just dropped that bomb on the show.
I mean, it's true. You look at Breath of the Wild's a gorgeous game, but there's still like
What's the
aliasing
rough
on the
edge?
grass and stuff. you
oh
know?
my gosh.
That's what I mean by rough edges. This is literally rough edges.
Yeah.
The gorgeous sunlight glimmering off the fields
you-
into the distance.
Yeah.
What'd you call it?
Aliasing.
Give me a break.
And that
Didn't you play
Ocarina of
Link's-
Time rendered tree is like polygon mess.
Didn't you play Link's Awakening at E3?
Yeah.
They-
It was
like
a mess.
all of the edges were rough, literally.
And
Every
that's
It had literal rough edges. That's a good point.
but that comes with the territory, I think, in a Switch game a lot of the time.
Tom.
And I think it still just looks nice, this game. But the one time it would slow down is there's this thing called the extreme attacks where you can fill up a bar and then press L and R at the same time, and you do this huge AoE attack. And if you just spam it 4 times, it'll link all 4 of your extreme attacks, and they'll just all go off at once. And that
it
will
just crashes.
No, it won't crash, but it will definitely drop the frame rate.
That's really funny.
Honestly, I
Pro
think
tip: crash
when
the game.
I think when you do huge attacks like that and the game slows down, it's immensely satisfying. It's like I'm doing all of the things so much that the system can't handle it, and now it's become just kind of synonymous with like doing well. So it might just be an effect. Maybe
Yeah.
they're like, let's make them think they're slowing down.
Maybe.
the
Doing
system.
too good.
And crucially, during those moments when you're doing that, you don't need to be playing it full. Like you're just in an attack animation. So I think performance-wise, there's nothing to worry about here, at least in my experience. And
Think of it as a cinematic slowdown.
yeah, it goes slow mo for you. It's bullet time.
So Tom,
Yeah.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3,
Yes.
Black Order.
Yes.
What do you score it?
I gave it a 7.8.
which is very good on the IGN
I think
score.
it's a very, very good game. I really do. I think that it's got some problems with sort of leveling progression and upgrade stuff, but it's just a very fun comic book game. It is going to be, I think, the snack food thing that a lot of people want, and it'll also be more enticing for min-maxers than maybe a lot of people would expect.
What is
Sorry, min-max is like a min-maxer is somebody who
Min-max, Sam?
I am a
completely
min-maxer.
digs
I'm a
into
min-maxer.
stats to make sure they have the perfect build of
Like
the perfect thing.
Ice 8 crystals?
ISO 8. ISO 8.
ISO 8
ISO 8 crystals.
crystals?
I so ate them.
I so ate those crystals.
Yeah. No, I think it's a very, very good game. It's honestly better than I expected. I thought this was going to be a little bit. It is very button mashy. That hasn't changed from the last 10 years. But I thought it was going to be a little thinner than it was. I thought the combat was going to be a little too simple, and it actually really did hook me the whole way through.
What
So
a
I'm very
crazy
happy.
exclusive for the Switch to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
There are tons of really fun cutscenes.
Oh yeah, the
so
cutscenes
many
are really.
cutscenes.
They're really, really a good time.
How long did it take you to beat?
It took me 13 hours, and that was with some trial stuff in there. So the campaign is probably about 12 hours long. Ish. Your mileage will vary. And again, there are infinity trials, so it encourages you to play more. There was a lot more for me to unlock that I hadn't by the end of it. A lot of really, really lame costumes, but that's okay.
Why were they lame?
Yeah, you were showing me some
It's
of
like
them.
the
boring.
worst shiny Pokemon you can get.
They're
Yeah.
like monochrome.
It's just like each hero.
Oh,
as
they're
far
not
as-
like based on classic costumes.
some of them kind of are.
It's not like
but,
Wolverine's brown costume and his yellow costume.
So I've seen. I think I saw 4 of them because they're really slow to unlock, like very slow to unlock. And as far as I can tell, each hero has one, and it is basically just a recolor of their default costume. It's not like a unique look. So some are interesting, like Hulk turns to Gray Hulk, right? Like that's kind of
Desaturated
cool.
Hulk.
Yeah, but
And Spider-Man turns silver.
Spider-Man just has like this silver outfit.
Desaturated Spider-Man.
Captain
with
America,
metallics.
Captain America, just like his red stripes and red parts, just like turned blue. And
Desaturated.
it's
red
basic,
parts.
it's pretty much that. Like he's kidding, but like it's kind of true. It's the costumes. I'm very disappointed with the cosmetic system. I feel like they, with so many costumes to pull from, definitely missed an opportunity there. But again, that's just sort of an extra thing, so it's not like that's the end of the world.
We deliberated for hours about why this was more of a 7.8 game than a 7.7 game. And I just wanted
we
you to
didn't.
kind of like explain your reasoning there. No, I'm just kidding.
I will tell you, I didn't. 7.9 would have just made everyone say, "Why isn't it an 8?" So I dropped it down.
But if you think it should be an 8, Tom Marks is on Twitter.
Who hates tracks, by the way.
Why are you just sending people after me today, Sam?
It's funny only because you're sitting next to me.
But I'm not.
It's like
If
Casey is between us.
If you think Tom is closer than
mean,
Casey, write Casey DeFreitas on Twitter and let her know how wrong Tom is.
So those were our Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 hot takes. Not enough cosmetics, really fun with friends.
or on your own. Like I think that might be a concern from some people is that I don't have friends to play this with. Am I going to enjoy it? And I played a
Still
lot
fun.
of it solo, and it is still a
This
very
seem-
fun time.
The trials are very challenging and interesting to get through as well.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, so and by the way, this is out on Friday, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
Hooray!
Yay.
And available now is the last Splatfest in Splatoon 2.
Whoa!
Yeah. And,
Ever.
ever. And this is like the previous Splatoon before this. The last Splatfest pits the 2 hosts up against each other, which are Marina and Pearl. And Pearl represents chaos and Marina represents order. Brendan, who are you picking?
It's a tough one. I mean, I've always liked Marina more than Pearl,
Same.
but I love a bit of chaos.
I know.
The
Yeah.
world should have more chaos.
The world should have more chaos.
I
And
might have to go chaos.
This is available July 18th through the 21st. And one of our friends on the Wikis team, Tiz Tiziano, Tiz Teaches, sent us NVC mail. So I'm bumping up a question block question up here. He says, the biggest reason I'm bringing up the final Splatfest is because of what it means for the future of the series. Splatoon 2 story mode was based on the outcome from Splatoon 1's final Splatfest, Callie versus Marie. This is not only mentioned in the game itself, but is canonically part of the lore as noted in the Squid Sisters stories. During Splatoon 1, none of us expected that the final Splatfest would actually affect Splatoon 2. So with that said, with the final Splatfest being Chaos versus Order, what does the result mean for the future of the franchise? How do you think Splatoon 3 would be affected if Chaos wins? Does it mean completely new weapons, structure, etc.? Or does order victory mean things will remain the same? What are things you'd want to change or keep the same? Based on that?
This is interesting because, as noted, because of the events of Splatoon 1 Splatfest, you spent Splatoon 2 story mode searching for one of the sisters who went missing with the help of the other sister. So does this mean that Splatoon 3 story, whoever loses, goes into exile, or they become crazy, or will they launch an attack, or will Pearl instill a chaos if she wins and like in topless, or will it become like a bastion of order if Marina wins? Like, I don't know, but I think it's a really clever way to keep this like the story of Splatoon going and having it actually somehow based on player input, which you didn't think it would be. But it's a pretty cool thing, and I would love to see. I'm not sure what would it actually change besides like a story beats, but if it actually influenced how the look and the feel of Splatoon 3 shows up, that might be crazy. If we get like a chaotic or a very clean Splatoon 3 because of this, I don't know. Maybe I might have to go switch back to Marina because I don't want her to go missing
away.
or go crazy.
Maybe
It's all ISO 8 crystals to me.
I'm thinking like maybe Splatoon 3 will start out overly orderly or overly chaotic, and then the other sister will the one who lost will show up to make things right with the world, with the new hosts.
Maybe order means that they'll make a Splatoon 3 and chaos means they won't.
Maybe order means they'll make a Splatoon mobile game, and chaos means probably chaos would be the mobile game. Yeah.
Because it would cause it?
Yeah.
You chose this.
Yeah, exactly.
If they did order, next one will be a MOBA or what's it? One of the
Battle chess.
Yeah, auto chess.
Splatoon auto chess. Wait, I'm actually in.
Explain. How does this work? It's,
Auto chess?
Yeah, well, it's like tower defense-ish.
No, auto chess is
It
like...
is tower defenses.
Yeah, I guess, but that kind of gives the wrong idea, I think. It's basically a deck-building tactics game. So like auto chess genre games, which is like Dota Underlords and Teamfight Tactics, you might be hearing a lot of that lately. It's basically just like you draft heroes between rounds and then you put them out on a field in like a tactics map, and then they'll automatically fight each other on that map for the rounds, and then you use the money you win from those rounds to buy more heroes and upgrade them and go in forward in further rounds.
You
That
talk about
sounds like
min-maxing
something I'd
it.
People will do that, I guarantee you. But the
Do people have fun playing video games anymore?
No.
yeah.
That sounds like so much work.
I'm kidding.
I will say though, if you haven't heard of auto chess games yet, that doesn't surprise me because none are on Switch, but these are games that are very mobile focused, so it is only a matter of time. Like, I
We'll get
guarantee you,
a Splatoon auto chess.
well,
if we
not
got-
Splatoon auto chess maybe, but
Splat-Spire.
100%, I'm willing to bet money right now that auto chess or Dota Underlords or something like that comes to Switch at some point because it's a very, very popular genre right now, and it'll probably make it there.
What if we got a Splatoon 3 Battle Royale?
I'm game.
Yeah, me too. I mean, we've been talking
it's in
about
smaller
this.
scope, but yeah.
We've been talking about a Splatoon battle royale for a very long time.
Yeah.
It needs one.
Mm-hmm.
You hear that, Nintendo? So speaking of Nintendo, which is what we're always speaking
Yeah,
about,
that's
this
not
is a
much of
Nintendo
a segue.
podcast. I tried, Sam.
Give you a 7.8 for effort.
Thanks, I appreciate it. That's still very good.
Good score.
Still very good. I could have done better. I'll do better next time.
Real talk. Wait, real quick, because I have this chip on my shoulder, and I'm just
What?
gonna say it. I feel like a lot of people will read my review and see a 7.8 and be like, "This game is bad. They didn't like it."
People
and that
don't understand
bugs
the
me.
score.
This is the
I
internet,
guess,
Tom.
but like,
We have a wiki page about it.
just if
think.
anybody is curious, for the record, right now, no, it is not a bad game. Like,
What is a 7 in words?
seven, the category of 7 is good. So if a game is 7, it is a good game, and the higher you get in there, it gets pretty good, very good, really good. And I think it's a really, really good game.
It just
I
hasn't been
genuinely
great
do.
yet.
Yeah, it's just not great. 8 is great and beyond that. Anyway, that's all.
Where's your score? And I know what our system is, but where would you say you're not going to play a game because it got a bad score? Like, where's your personal cut?
Honestly, that is not a thing I can even give input on.
Mine's 7.7.
So see, for me,
So close.
I just have so many things to play, like constantly, that it's a very skewed thing for me.
I think I've played a lot of like 5 or 6 games that I've loved, and I've hated a lot of 9s and 10s.
Yeah,
I think
So
if
personal
it-
preference,
yeah,
right?
It really is.
If it's a
all
genre
opinion.
and type of game I really love and I know I'm going to like, even if it scores in the 6s, I'll still play it. But I just know that like a 6 to me is like, yeah, if you're really into this genre or really into this property, you'll probably still like this game.
Can you think
even
of
though
an
it's just
example
okay.
of a 6 that you?
Yeah, Berserk and the Band of the Hawk was a Muso game about an anime property that I really like. So even though I reviewed this and I was like, this is just an okay game, but I really like Berserk, so I would play it anyway, regardless of the.
Sorry, I got us off on a terrible tangent here.
No, it's okay.
What was your segue again?
Nintendo.
Sometimes we talk about Nintendo on this show, and when we do, I like to say
Nintendo had a mini Twitter Direct on their Twitter feed today.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I need timestamps. That's what I'm looking at my phone for. 45. All right, you're welcome, guys.
see what timestamps make us do.
This is what. So, first off, Luigi's Mansion 3 got a release date.
Right.
And to almost no one's surprise, it is October, but specifically
Spooky.
Halloween.
Yay.
So instead of going out and getting candy from strangers, you can play Luigi's Mansion 3.
I'm not
Which
gonna
is like
lie. This
candy.
would have been a really bad conundrum if I was like 13.
No, it would be.
What day of the
Before-
week is Halloween this year?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. I'm
There's
gonna
no way
look
to
at that
know.
right now. I
There's
have
no
a
way to find
calendar
out.
on this
There's
really
no way to know.
fancy thing.
Well,
It is
only
a
the scholars
Thursday.
know.
It's a Thursday, so this will be out
a
the Wednesday
Thursday.
night at on our
Midnight.
time.
The
Or-
spookiest time.
With your Switch Lite, you can just do both at the same time. Go trick-or-treating while playing.
I'm so happy Halloween's on a Wednesday because when Halloween's on a
Thursday.
Friday Thursday, when it's on a Friday or a Saturday in San Francisco, it's awful. It's too small of a city to have that many revelers in dumb costumes.
True. Very true.
It is. It's a small.
It's usually
it's a
fine in my
physically
neighborhood,
small
though.
city with lots of people in it.
I'm glad this game has a release date.
I have a Halloween tangent.
Oh.
Cool.
So
Okay.
Tangents on NVC.
I know. When I was in the 6th grade, I got a C on a report for my English class, which was a poetry.
I've never been disappointed in you, Casey, but I'm a little bit disappointed in you.
It was a collection of poems.
You're
and I
gonna
got
be
a
very
That's
mad at
so
me.
much worse. How do you do bad poetry?
I'm not a poet, you guys. It's just not
As you can
me.
tell by her tangent,
What
she's not
teacher
full of
gives you a
words.
grade on poetry?
A person who hated me. But anyway, my parents also hated me, and they grounded me on Halloween to punish me for my C report.
Oh, I'm sorry. You were grounded for one. My sister was grounded for every single Halloween from all of middle school.
Yeah, but
and
your
high
sister's
school.
an author now.
Yeah, she is. She had a really bad goth angry phase. I think there was a family counseling. I don't remember any of
You
it.
can think of how good that poetry was.
But she was grounded every Halloween for every year from middle through high school.
I
Are
just
you sure you
can't-
got a C because of poetry?
It's probably
There must
'cause
have been a deeper assignment that you messed up.
It wasn't pretty enough.
What does that mean?
It was supposed to look pretty. It was one of those.
Like a portfolio.
Yeah, it was a portfolio of poetry, and I didn't spend enough time making it look pretty.
What year was
My
this?
words didn't matter. The graphic design did, and I was not a graphic designer.
What year was this?
2000.
Oh, you were definitely playing Pokemon too much.
Maybe I was in the 6th grade.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, it was 2012.
And all you could think about
2011.
was the new Pokemon game that would be out that November.
Probably. That's probably it.
Should have done poetry about Pokemon.
So what did you
We got an
do
A.
the night you were grounded on Halloween?
I gave out candy and gave mean looks to
Oh,
all the
that's so
children.
much worse. They put you to work.
Yeah. Yep.
That is
my
the
Halloween.
worst.
Halloween tangent.
Did you dress up for that?
I did.
Well, that's
was
not so
very-
bad. It's not like your parents are like, take off that costume. You're going to
By
be
the
a
time I
parent
was in-
tonight.
No, my argument was like, I'm only going to be a kid for so long. When I get to high school, it won't be appropriate for me to go trick or treating anymore.
And
So
you're
you're
taking
taking
away
away
one of them.
one of my last years.
How did we go from Luigi's Mansion 3 to
It's
this?
No, this is
Halloween.
good.
Tom.
I want to know what costume you wore.
I don't remember. I was either a witch or a cat. I don't have pictures because I didn't go trick or treating.
Okay. Were you usually a witch or a cat?
I was a witch or a cat for a lot when I was a little kid.
I remember by high school, I was giving out candy, and I just
I
put
might
the
have been a
candy
vampire,
on
I
the
don't know.
doorstop, and I would stand behind it in a black cloak and a black mask with a giant.
Oh, you
sword
were
like
that
this.
guy?
I was that guy.
Oh,
I would
man.
just stand in front of the candy like, go on, take it. People took it
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah.
I was an Ewok
Really?
I feel like that would suit you.
1 year.
One, just one?
I think so. It was probably like 1985.
You know, I was also a cat for Halloween last year. I was Morgana from Persona 5.
Oh, but that's special.
Yeah. But it's
And
still
a
black
witch.
cat.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're right. I was both. Anyway, Luigi's Mansion 3 is coming out on Halloween this year, guys.
Yay.
Go
I
do
feel
that.
like it probably always had that date. They just wanted to make sure it was ready.
Well, there was
before-
There was a leak from like a supposed leak from Amazon Mexico like a week ago that said it was going to come out on October 4th or 3rd. And then
Amazon's always placeholder dates though.
right, but that's when people thought it was going to be, and it's actually end of the month instead of the beginning.
No, this will be really fun. Like when people have when kids have their curfews and have to be home at a certain time, they can go home with their friends and do a sleepover or something on a weekday because they're not allowed to do that. And I'm sorry I suggest that. Sorry, kids, disappointing you. No sleepovers on weekdays.
I'm just going to play it all day.
Cool.
But you can go home and play Luigi's Mansion together.
Also, what was your cutoff date for trick-or-treating? High school?
I think
Sorry, Casey said it's not cool anymore if you're a freshman in high school.
I kept
You're cut off.
I kept trick or treating until like my junior year of high school.
Junior year?
Yeah, until I was like 17.
I went through college. I trick or treated in college.
Really?
But here's the great
Cat
thing
or
about
witch?
Here,
Those are just costume parties in college.
here's the great thing about being an adult though is I'm excited for this to come out on October 31st because I'm going to go home, buy myself a large fun-sized bag of candies and just eat that and play this game and
Nothing
not go
surprising about what
trick-or-treating.
Tom's saying right now. I work
That's
with
what
Tom.
adulthood
I know him
can
very
do.
I'll
well.
probably do the same thing. Let's be honest.
What if you made a pie that had Halloween candy in it?
No.
What
That
kind
would
of
probably
what,
be awful.
what could it be?
Make us a pumpkin
Well,
chocolate pie.
You could do candy
chocolate
apple,
pie.
like caramel apple.
I could do caramel apple. I could do chocolate pie. I could do
That'd be pretty
pumpkin.
cute.
Yeah. There's options.
chocolate
Okay.
pumpkin.
Anyway.
Make a little like pumpkin and
So don't fill up on candy too much because you got to save room for pie. It's another great thing about being an adult.
Yeah,
Who knows how to make pie?
You just eat yourself into oblivion.
it's very bad. So also on Nintendo's Twitter feed today, I believe, was they announced new Joy-Con colors, which is blue and neon yellow and neon orange. And my first question was, why didn't they pair them with the correct complementary colors? Because if you know anything about the color wheel, blue goes with orange and yellow goes with purple. Nintendo, what are you doing? You're forcing us to buy two pairs to get the correct colors.
But you sent out like a corrected picture of what it's supposed to
Yeah.
be? Okay.
So
Yeah.
I only know the
I was
color
confused
wheel.
because I was like, you sent out the... Okay. This is internally in the office. I didn't see your tweet about it.
Yeah, I did also tweet about it. If you want to see the correct complementary colors, I photoshopped the Joy-Con to have blue with orange and yellow with purple.
I only know about this because every DreamWorks poster movie has like blue and orange.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
that's
every poster ever is
Yeah.
blue and orange.
They're complementary colors. you
Yeah.
guys.
And that you're just saying that on the color wheel, they're opposite from each other.
Yes.
Yeah. And it does bug me too. The color combos bug me, but also I'm just so happy we're getting a purple Joy-Con. Like that's super cool to me.
It's not
We have
GameCube
multiple
purple
of them.
though.
Yeah.
But we have
Wrong.
multiple like knockoff ones or custom ones, right?
Yeah.
The fact that we're getting an official purple Joy-Con is
Yeah.
pretty cool.
That is really
And I'm
cool.
just a little bummed that I can't just buy two of them.
Me too.
Purple is one of my favorite colors. Purple and green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should make that pairing.
What's your top three?
Top three colors. Purple, green, and maroon.
You just had to choose one more. It was easy.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. What's everyone's top three favorite colors?
Pink, bright pink, and muted pink.
Tom,
Red,
that's
gray,
totally
black.
That's cheating. That is not cheating.
Those are
Sam?
just IGN colors, first of all. He's just looking at the wall back here and saying whatever colors he sees.
Have you seen the way I dress? I always wear like black pants or like a gray shirt or a black shirt or a black sweater.
What's the red part?
the red is because I like red.
Okay.
His blood is red.
Sure.
My favorite color is orange, and I like it because it's ugly. I don't have a lot of things that are orange. And I like it when it's paired with like 70s yellow and brown, like old Muni buses here. I like that.
Cool. So also on Nintendo's Twitter feed, the rewind feature is now available for the Nintendo Entertainment System, for the NES games that you have through Nintendo Switch Online. We talked about this last week. And also all over Nintendo's Twitter page right now is Claude from Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Don't you know, Claude, that for that game that isn't out for 2 weeks
That game.
or a week.
But Claude,
I just want to point out they're not saying Claude, C-L-O-D, like a clod of mud.
It's
They're saying
cloud.
Claude.
how do you pronounce it?
Claude. Claude.
It's Claude.
Now you
He-
just sound like you're saying the mud thing over and over again.
He's the leader of the Golden Deer,
Claudy.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
He
cool.
is the leader of the Golden Deer House and Farm Three Houses, which is out next week,
And
which I am reviewing, and you will know more about that next week.
Can't talk
Yeah.
about it.
Not before.
we can talk about the characters a little bit because
Well,
they've
yeah.
been showing out information of that. But it's Claude's birthday on the 24th.
How about we don't put out this episode until his embargo's up?
Okay.
Sorry, embargo.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Brendan, talk about it. No, I'm kidding.
Please don't.
Brendan hasn't even done his score yet. He's like just on the spot. Score it now. Score it now, Brendan.
Is there a number up here I can just point at?
In some other
Great.
news, outside of Twitter, Game Freak says they're using new Pokemon models in Sword and Shield, and that's all I'll say about that. And out this week, I'm so tired of talking about it. To be honest, I love Pokemon. This drama is just
That Pokemon tree, though.
I don't know.
Wait,
There's a
okay.
huge
Look, Have you talked about the drama on this show?
yes. So much.
Okay.
There's new drama about this specific thing every single week where new information is coming. Then the community is like, no, this is wrong. And then they're like, no, we're not. And then it's
a
I don't
lot.
know.
It's a lot of people angry. If I can break down one thing,
Go for it.
I think that the reason that there is a lot
Can you
of
say your
anger,
Twitter handle first?
I think that the reason there's a lot of anger, one of the driving forces behind this is because Nintendo said, hey, we can't have all the Pokemon. It's too much work now visually. And then they also said, we are working on, what was it? They said that they said that like the animation quality is too high, so they can't have all the Pokemon. And then also, but like they don't have all the Pokemon, and a lot of the animations are borrowed from the old games or like kind of whatever. And so there's this conflicting thing where the reasons that that the community has been given conflict with each other, and so there's never resolution, and so it just keeps going, and people are still mad. And I think that's kind of what's driving this whole thing. We don't have to dig into the specifics of it, but I understand why people are frustrated.
And
it just keeps going.
Yeah, and people are using Google Translate to translate this interview with Famitsu. So I just
Right, and that's never reliable.
I just don't even want to get into that because you can't trust Google Translate at all.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, out this week is Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3: The Black Order out on the 19th, which we already talked about, and also Etherborn.
Yeah, Etherborn is this.
Etherborn.
It's just there's not much was coming out this week. There's like a lot of little games that I know a few of them, but none of them are really like worth mentioning, to be honest. But Etherborn is a new puzzle platformy game that's coming out this week. That is, I got a chance to play it at GDC like a year ago or a year and a half ago. It's just one to look at. It's very pretty. It's $17, and it's just a very cute, like very lovely looking kind of physicsy, puzzly game. And physicsy is the wrong way to put it, but it's like you'll change gravity and walk on walls, and it's just cool. Just give it a look.
Cool. What is everyone playing?
Wouldn't you like to know?
I would. I know what you're playing.
Playing Fire Emblem. Writing the guide and doing the review, and yeah, those two things.
Sam's playing Japan.
I played a lot of Mario Maker, and I'm playing Bloodstained also, and I'm kind of going between them. And I really had a reverse course in Mario Maker. I'm now not liking Nintendo's levels in Mario Maker.
Oh.
And I think I was really excited about them too. And I do like them for a lot of qualities, but I'm disappointed that they're kind of short themed levels. And they make me want a different Mario game. They make me want a game that I can explore and find secrets in, and with like really cool mapped out different paths and stuff like that. And it is like playing a bunch of fan created Mario levels by very, very smart people.
Yeah, I think the point of the story was almost just to give you ideas for your own levels, and that was it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do like the clever design, and I like the idea that coins matter and stuff like that. But man, I don't know. I was so like 50% of the game I was so excited and kept on playing, and now I'm like, I just don't. I suddenly want a different Mario game. Bloodstained is awesome though.
Yeah.
You like it on the Switch?
I'm not playing it on Switch. I'm playing it on Xbox One.
Okay.
It's fine on Switch, and I have seen it and watched it a lot. And our reviewer Damon, tested it out on Switch and stuff like that. Well, I guess Brian Altano tested it out on Switch. So ask him.
Yeah, we talked about it on here. It's fine.
I am playing Ultimate Alliance, but you guys knew that already. I also want to give a shout out to a game that came out last week called Eagle Island,
Okay.
which is this pretty cool platformer roguelike-ish. It's roguelite, I think is probably the right way to put it, where you have an owl that chills with you, and your attack animation is you throw the owl out.
That's
and it hits enemies.
Janet's owl stuffed animal.
Yes, Janet has an owl stuffed animal.
There we
that
go.
was-
We did it.
Mystery solved.
Yes.
She has a really cool owl on her desk, and I was like, "What's that owl?"
Very cute game. Very, very nice little pixel art. And essentially the structure of the game is that it's a platformer combat game, but you're on an island and the map of the island is set, and then there are dungeons that you go into them, and those are randomized roguelike style. So if you die, you restart, and the map is different. Like, that dungeon is different.
Sounds a lot like Swords of Ditto.
Similar.
But Sword of Ditto, that one's also randomly generated.
Yeah. And the cool
So
thing
Cadence
is...
of Hyrule. Just that's that same way where like some of the dungeons are more generated.
Right.
Related.
And the cool thing about this one, though, is that when you beat a dungeon, you get an upgrade or an unlock, and then you kind of go to the next one. So there's a story-driven, kind of normal platformery element to it, but then you get this roguelike experience of jumping into these randomized dungeons. It's not like it's fun. It's very cute and silly.
You
And
throw the owl, or does the owl on its own volition attack stuff?
you throw the owl.
That sounds really
or
mean.
I think you have like a glove, and you like send it.
Okay.
Essentially.
Oh, like a.
But it's
softener.
cool with it. Yeah,
Patronage.
it's cool with it. And the attack animation and the attack itself is like just a super satisfying mechanic. It's one of those things where even if a game is otherwise not amazingly impressive, if there's the core piece of it is just satisfying, it can make up for a lot of other things. And this is just really satisfying because when you hold the attack button, you actually float in midair. And if you hit an enemy, it refreshes your attack. So you can do this thing where you jump into the middle of a bunch of different enemies and like hit one and then throw it a different direction and then drop a little bit so you're in line with another and then hit another guy and you like rack up a combo while you're doing this. The attack is just very, very satisfying, and it carries a lot of the game, I think.
Do you think the owl would just want to like live like an owl in its own life and just be free?
So you have this is the story, which is early on.
Tom and I are both vegetarians.
You have two owls, and you come to this island, and then a giant eagle kidnaps one of the owls. You don't know what, and so you're going to try to save it. And you have to save it by saving these other like legendary birds. Basically.
That sounds really cute.
Yeah, it's a very cute game. I'm not super far into it, and I admittedly haven't played it on Switch. I've been playing it on Steam, but it is very, very cute, and it's definitely worth a shout out.
Yeah. And this
It's
is
don't
Eagle
throw
Island.
owls.
Eagle
Don't throw-
Island. Yeah.
Eagle Island. What did I say? I said eagle.
Yeah.
Okay. Eagle Island. Words. So, question block. We're kind of close. Let's just do it anyway. Question block.
Yay.
So I don't know if you guys have seen this going around, but there's an app that can age your face. So everyone's been sharing photos of what they look like when they're like 80. So this is from Chris Lomlin, and he says, in light of seeing what my friends' faces will look like in 50 years, I was wondering if you guys have thought about if game companies, not just Nintendo, are doing enough to improve accessibility in games. PC games have always had remappable controls, but console games don't always have that capability, especially Nintendo. Easier difficulty options are welcome, but there's more that I think could be done. I've really enjoyed this podcast and all that you guys do, and hope to keep listening 50 years from now too. And this is a topic I have thought about. Like I already have wrist problems. What am I gonna do in 50 years? This is the hobby that I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And I think the solution is to have something installed into my brain where I can just plug into a game.
Look, there's one lesson from Black Mirror, and it's literally every episode of the show, but two: don't let things be put in your brain.
Yeah.
But
It's the only moral. It happens over and over again. Don't put stuff in your brain that you can't take out.
Also, a lesson in like every isekai game, movie, anime, like .hack, where you get stuck in a game, you die for real. Homas and stuff. I'm gonna do it anyway.
Is that really a bad trade-off, though? You get to live in a video game.
Yeah, I mean, like if I'm 70 or 80, can't play games anymore.
Put me in one.
I mean, it's a big assumption to think that we'd be playing games the same way. So you're right to think that there might be alternate ways to control games, but it's also a big assumption to think that medical science won't progress enough to let us use our hands in 50 years. Like,
Right.
I would hope for that outcome instead of solving it from the game side.
I think back to the point, though, Nintendo is pretty light on accessibility options. Like half the time, if you go into the options menu of a Nintendo game, it's like x-axis, invert, options, subtitle, end. Like that's it.
Yeah.
You don't really get anything.
Especially if you compare it to not to, stand one company up to the other, but compared to what Microsoft's doing with their compatibility controller or accessibility controller and that sort of stuff.
And they're making that a whole positive campaign, and they really talk about it openly and stuff like that. And I think it's probably on us as journalists to challenge other companies more to start talking about that.
And I think it's that weird thing where it's like, it's not that Nintendo's not doing enough, it's just that they're not doing much, right? And there's not an expectation right now. And I think, it would just be beneficial for everyone in the industry if more people started doing that stuff. But it's also not like necessarily a sin that they're not. It's just that it would be great if they were, and it will be more important that they do in the future. Also, super fast note on this. That app is really funny and all, but it is also really not very good because that company and that app got in trouble like 2 or 3 years ago because they introduced a filter that lets you change your race and basically let you take blackface photos. So
Also, every single photo you upload onto that app, they now own and can distribute and make money off of it, and you have no say about it.
Yeah,
Which is
so
a lot
be
true for a lot of
careful.
apps, to be
Yeah,
honest.
but
just
like,
remember that when you get
Do
caught up in
research
these
what your,
viral
is
trends, that
going.
they're often
a
have
ploy
other
to get your
motives.
information
Yeah,
and be bad.
not to be the killer of fun.
But funny old face.
Yeah.
So, to bring it back to not the Big Brother state, we there's the first D-pads where the Intellivision kind of had a D-padish thing. Nintendo honestly had one really early. That was 35 years ago, mid 80s, right? 50 years ago, there was games controlled mainly by joysticks and then rotational controls. All those things are still around. Like, that's heartening to me that we're still using TV screens and controllers that in a kind of similar way to what they originally were as video games. And so, like, I hope that 50 years from now there will be variations on the games we like, because we know humans like to play these and they're interesting, and I don't think we're gonna age out of that type of play control necessarily. But like, man, if we're in like some VR utopia by that point, then people won't be playing video games.
Well, I'm sure 50 years from now, there'll be Mario Party 50 where you still have to mash your hand on a joystick until it burns a hole.
Yeah.
That is my hope as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, actually, speaking of Mario Party,
That is a good segue. I just want to stop. Is this about Mario
Did I tell you about my dream?
It's just something completely not Mario
Casey,
Party.
We talk about
Oh,
Nintendo
no.
every week. And
Casey, did you see my dream?
no.
So I had a dream a couple days ago that I
how
was
would Casey see your dream, Brendan? We go over this every Monday.
not every Monday. I tweeted it out. I had a dream that I was back at E3 going to preview appointments, and I woke up freaking out like, wait, I have a review for Fire Emblem and all these preview appointments. And one of the preview appointments I had was for Super Mario Party 2 for the Switch. But they're like, hey, if you want to play it with your friends, instead of online, you can just use this button to teleport to your friends in the world, in real life. They just invented a teleportation.
But part of that nightmare was true. You do have to do your Fire Emblem review.
But not the previews, too. But
Okay.
I have the headlines all done, but I'm not actually writing the previews.
Also, that last question was sent in by Frank, not Chris. The Mario Party question was sent in by Chris. Sorry. So, this might be random timing for this question, not anymore because now
Speaking
it's a
of
segue.
Mario
Yeah.
Party,
But given the talks around the new Switch
Happened
Lite and
culture.
not being able to play certain games due to lack of detachable Joy-Cons, the fire has been reignited in me to discuss Super Mario Party and the lack of attention it's received since its release. I love this game. Sometimes there's nothing better than getting with a group of friends to play some Mario Party and seeing who will hate each other by the end of the night. That being said, I think it's almost criminal how they haven't added any additional content since it's come out late last October. The game is fun, but you can only play the 4 main board games so many times before things get repetitive. I believe more boards and mini games should be added. This game is too much fun for it to be so short-lived.
that's basically a summary of my review of this
Yeah,
game.
it is. It really is.
Especially that sentence here. I believe more boards and mini games should be added. This game is fun, but you can only play the 4 main boards as many times before it gets repetitive. I mean, that's what this game is like. And how stupid is it that they aren't adding stuff?
Yeah.
It is interesting
I
because
would
you see all
buy
the other
more
games out
stuff.
these days that they have online support for, and like Fire Emblem has a DLC plan, Marvel's the DLC plan, Breath of the Wild had a DLC plan, Splatoon has its updates, ARMS has updates, and like
I would buy
why
more
not?
boards and mini games.
yeah. I still love playing Mario Party with my
Well,
brother and sister-in-law.
But
Yeah,
it's also
I
a
just
problem.
played this weekend.
Yeah, did you really?
It was a lot of fun. Played it for like 2.5
It
hours.
was a lot of fun. I think I gave it a 7 something.
Yeah, it was very
There's
good.
no way to know.
7.8.
But I think that it does say something about the quality of the game, though, and like the thought that Nintendo put into it, that they didn't, that it feels like it needs more DLC. Like, the game shouldn't necessarily feel like there's not enough in it, and I think that's a disappointing part of it.
I mean, there are I think there's like crystals or something that you have to collect.
ISO.
Did you get them
8
all?
crystals.
No, wrong. No. But
No,
what
I paid a freelancer to get
So-
them all, and you can find what they do on IGN.com/wikis/Super Mario Party.
Here you go. I'm going to do that because one of the challenges means that you have to go through 50 mini games that you have to play by yourself.
Yay, Mario Party.
Again, thank you, freelancer,
So
for your contribution.
the question here is, will this? Oh, our TV turned off in the back.
Oh.
That's funny. The question is,
dead.
do you?
Oh, that's weird.
This is our hey, please leave.
Brendan's new
Yeah.
color, his favorite color is black.
Taking over.
If the question here is, do
I
we
gave it a
think-
7.3.
Oh,
Okay.
it's off.
Do
If-
we
if-
think
do we
it
think
should
it-
have more?
Or will it ever get?
Yeah.
I don't think it will. I think it is definitely funny the TV's freaking out. I think it's funny that in the age of Nintendo finally getting good about DLC, like you guys were saying, that this one just like didn't have anything. What is happening now? It's turning on the TV.
Brendan is trolling us.
But I think we're too late now. I think that
yeah.
especially
Yeah.
with stuff like Mario Tennis Aces, you saw that they had DLC stuff pretty quick and they had a plan for it and they knew what they said it openly what they were doing. And I think that it has been too long with too much silence for them to suddenly be like, oh hey, by the way, we're adding this.
I'm very disappointed.
I hope that they do that, but I wouldn't expect it.
I wonder if there's an assumption that like that audience is really young and they don't want to get involved in the selling DLC to youngsters
possible.
situation. But then I see like Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, like
kids
little
would
kids are
see-
playing that game
Yeah.
and buying
Kids
stuff. all
would
the time.
see that commercial and be like, "Mom, I need this. Dad, I need this. Give it to me. I want it." That's what I would do. Is I get a commercial
Mario
come
Party?
on. Yeah, right.
I
Also,
will say if you're hankering for more Mario Party mini games, shout out to my friend and our former IGN wiki freelancer Chris is making Mario Party mini games in Mario Maker too as levels.
That sounds
He made a bumper balls
awesome.
level where you're all in the Koopa cars.
Oh,
and there's
remaking
spikes
them.
everywhere. You have to survive for like 60 seconds before
Oh,
you
I
can
see.
get to the end.
That's
It's
cool.
pretty fun.
the Mario Party becomes a weird thing when you think about the Switch Lite and the fact that it probably can't play
you-
Mario Party.
Well,
You
I
need,
think
you need separate Joy Cons.
it's going to be interesting because like you'll be able to modify your system by just cutting those off the side. Need a bandsaw, maybe.
You heard it here
Your-
first.
your
Cut
parents-
off your Joy Cons, then you got a regular Switch.
And
Ask
if
your
you-
parents.
if you want
wear
to
protection.
complain after that breaks your Switch at Samuel
Yeah.
_IGN.
Well, first of all, Tom is the person that breaks the most switches in this office.
I haven't broken any switches. I've broken at least
Remember when
two,
that screw got
Joy-Con.
Okay, all right.
So like
Yeah,
at
so we're on the
least
same-
$80 of
All I
product.
did was strip the screw on the back of the Switch. That's completely different.
We should totally
And my
try
Joy-Con,
to
but you
cut
fixed
off
that for me.
the Joy Cons. We should do that.
Yes.
cut off a Joy-Con.
Cut off the Joy
Don't
Cons.
say
Don't
this
steal
now.
our idea.
If you say this now, Nintendo is not going to send us one.
Hey, can you
They're
send us
gonna
two?
be
Well, that's not the
No,
biggest
you
problem.
said you-
reasons.
Biggest problem is somebody might do it first, so we just have to make sure we do it with an advanced copy.
This is what I'm saying.
This is like when the fan gamer sent us two of the Torio plushes from Undertale, and one we had to cut open and take out the heart inside.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was so sad.
Miranda had to open it up, and it was really traumatic. But yeah, just send us.
Did you
one
guys
we
end
can
up doing
break.
that?
Yeah, they did it on camera.
Wow.
Dismembering a plushie on camera. What does this world come to?
It's kill or be killed in Undertale.
So
Right on
hey,
touch.
very last thing. So Shane Smith sent us a very long email. If you have all, I didn't give you guys all the pages because there's a lot.
Oh, is this the thing that says English breakfast?
Yes.
I was wondering what this was.
So
Oh
here's
my goodness gracious.
This is your poetry.
Here's Shane Smith's message. Hey, listen, after listening to episode 465 and hearing Casey talk about strawberries and cream as a type of dessert I think they eat during tea time in England, I just wanted to give a bit
Are you
more
gonna
info
read this whole
on
thing?
No, I'm not going to read this whole thing. Basically, he's giving us actual information from someone who lives in England about strawberries and cream. It's a traditional summer dessert, which is most popular around the time of the Wimbledon tennis tournament, where it is
watched that this
served
weekend.
to spectators. It's not as fancy as the one you made and is typically just sliced or whole strawberries with single cream. I think the equivalent of light or heavy cream to you guys, poured over, sometimes with sprinkling of sugar. We eat them as a standalone snack or after a meal or
Can I
as a
pause
dessert.
you? Can you please do this in a British accent? I mean, come on.
Be my guest.
I don't have one.
Oh, I don't either.
Wait, where are we all?
Usually
count.
both.
I lost my place.
Here, it's on the left. It's the third line up of the first paragraph.
Only at the top? I can't do all this.
I can't do a British accent. I'm sorry.
All right, please continue.
A much tastier alternative is Eton Mess, which is whipped cream, sliced strawberries, and crushed chewy meringue all mixed up. Super nice.
I
Some
just
people
learned about
prefer
that
it with
literally
raspberries,
yesterday.
but those people are wrong. So thank you so much for telling us more about strawberries and cream. And he then adds some very useful explanations of what all of the different like tea time. He gives us descriptions and definitions of tea time, dinner, afternoon tea, cream tea, 11sies, and supper.
What about steak and breakfast?
Yeah.
That's
I thought
11Zs.
I thought 11Zs was made up for Lord of the Rings.
So did I. First.
No, it's true.
Do you think do you think it was in Lord of the Rings first and then now they just like took it?
Man, there's also English breakfast,
This is
Sunday
wonderfully
lunch,
extensive.
Christmas dinner, and
Supper.
and at the very end, I know I'll read supper. No effing idea what this is. Maybe it's what old people call an evening snack because they eat dinner so early. I've only ever heard my nan say it.
This is wonderful, by
Yeah,
the way.
thank you
this
so
is
much.
Very
I need to
sweet.
read all this.
I
This
very
is
much
very,
enjoyed
very
reading
sweet.
this.
I'm going to read this later too.
Yeah. And the very last paragraph is, as you've probably realized, this is a heck of a lot of useless information and way too much to read out on a podcast, but it could prove useful for translation purposes when visiting the Galar region
We need a
later
wiki
this year.
page for all these translations.
Keep up the good work.
I
Shane.
hope that every one of these words gets a Pokemon.
So instead of like the
Second
Malasada
breakfast.
shop, they'll have like the cream tea shop.
Yeah. We'll
I
do
know.
it.
I know. At one point before the Galar thing was announced, people were making like region Pokemon that like should exist, and there was like a bunch of British ones, and there was like Ben, Big Ben, and Bigger Ben.
I love that there's a British dessert that's just called a mess. I will eat anything that's just called. This is what is that? That's just a mess. Don't worry about
That's
it.
Yeah, you can
alchemy's.
rest-
That's
Let's go.
alchemy's evolution.
Yeah.
I
A
would,
mess.
I would really like what's his name? Chris?
Shane.
Shane.
Shane to write back in explaining some English breakfast questions I have. Bubble and squeak. The hell is that?
What?
Yeah, that's a thing in England for breakfast. I saw it on a menu several times. And then also boiled tomatoes in the morning. I don't get it. Please explain that.
I like.
It's just a big hot tomato.
Also, can you explain what ISO crystals are to us?
ISO 8.
ISO 8 crystal.
ISO 8
I
is
so
a
ate
mess.
crystals.
I just think an ISO 7.8 is really similar to ISO 8. And I don't know why you couldn't have just bumped it up.
Now I'm furious that I didn't give it an 8, to
But
be
I'll
honest.
contact you on Twitter about this on my own.
ISO 8.8 crystals.
All right. Thank you, Shane, and to everyone else who wrote to us at NVC@IGN.com. This is it for NVC, IGN's Nintendo podcast. Sam, where can they find you on Twitter?
I'm not telling them that.
Tom, where can they find Sam on Twitter?
At Samuel_IGN.
Wow. It's just burned into your brain?
No, I had to do it for the lower third earlier. Yeah.
How did you find it then?
Twitter.
You're on Twitter.
There's no way to know.
He's a ghost. He's
And
off the grid.
Tom, where can they find you?
I don't know. Sam mentioned it like 12 times already. At Tom R. Marks.
And Brendan?
At Raga_Fraga.
And you can find me on Twitter at ShinyKCD. Thank you so much for watching. You can find or listen or hear NVC every Thursday at 3 p.m. except today, which is 4 p.m. on your favorite podcasting platform or YouTube or IGN.com. Thank you so much. And remember, this is the only place you can
Get the thing.